Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Andriy Shevchenko, and on behalf of Mediacentru Ukraine, I would like to welcome all the journalists who tell the world about our fight for freedom. On Monday, the European Council agreed to impose new sanctions on Russia due to its invasion to Ukraine. The new sanctions apply to crude oil and petroleum products imported from Russia to the European Union. This measure has been warmly welcomed in Ukraine, although Kyiv says that the sanctions are falling short from what is necessary to be done. We are joined today by Matti MAASIKAS, the head of the delegation of the European Union to Ukraine. Your Excellency, this was a political decision on Monday. We are still waiting for the exact wording with the details, but what can you say about this decision as of the moment?
Thank you. Вітаю всіх. Indeed, as we speak, the ambassadors of the EU member states in Brussels are finalizing this sixth sanction package. But the political decision was taken, so I do not expect surprises. It means a ban on Russia's oil export to the EU that affects 90% of this export, and that's even according to conservative estimations, we're talking dozens and dozens and dozens of billions of euro per year. Secondly, very importantly, and in coordination with the United Kingdom, the insurance of Russian oil shipments will be banned. And that's a very important development because the EU and the UK together are the leading insurers in the world. So that affects Russian oil shipments global, not only to the EU countries, which they will be banned anyway. So, and also I'd like to underline the de-swifting Russia's biggest lender, Sberbank. These are important steps, and indeed the Ukrainian authorities' welcome has been warm.
Well, these measures are expected to exhaust the Russian financial resources and to damage the Russian war machine. What's your understanding? How big is the harm from these measures?
It is more than significant. As you know, almost 40% of Russian state revenues come from the selling of oil and gas, and Russia's oil export to the EU was close to 100 billion last year, worth close to 100 billion last year. These effects will be significant to Russia's ability to finance this war. Of course, with sanctions, it's this problem that with any sanctions that there is no natural science way of things to prove that sanctions have worked, because no sovereign government will probably accept or admit that yes, we did this or that because of your sanctions. But we are confident that with our measures we will be able to affect the decisions by the Kremlin.
There was one part of the decision which disappointed a lot of people in Ukraine. A temporary exception was made for crude oil delivered by pipeline. Why?
Because EU member states are in different positions. those who have access to the sea or to sea can much more easily replace their oil supplies. Those who use the pipeline, and especially the pipeline, are in different position. But you may have also seen that the EU leaders promised to return to the issue of the pipeline as soon as possible. The current ban that just is being finalized affects 90% of EU's oil supplies by Russia. The countries who still can use the pipeline oil, and some have said that despite of the fact that they have access to this pipeline, they will not use it. But even the countries that can use it are then forbidden to resell this to other EU member states. So there are several elements that make that ban tighter than it looks like at the first reading.
Well, Your Excellency, of course, you're expected to speak on behalf of all the EU members, and this should include very good understanding of the differences and of the challenges between the EU members. If we think ahead, if we start thinking about the seventh package and further steps, how far the EU can go ahead as a community with a joint common position? We've seen some very harsh debates over differences this time.
There are different opinions. There are different vulnerabilities, but let us, in the day that the sixth package has been finalized, let us not speculate on any further packages. It will be in the hands of the European Commission when the time is right to propose a next package following the discussions with member states.
What could be avenues for further extension and expansions of sanctions?
No, let's move to the next question, please. Let's not speculate on what could come next. The current package is just being finalized.
Okay, we'll take that as your answer. And there was also important part of the decision on Monday about the financial support for Ukraine and about the EU leadership role for further reconstruction of Ukraine. Could you elaborate more on that?
Since the beginning of this year, the EU has delivered 1.2 billion euro macrofinancial assistance. It's delivering 350 state building contract, 120 direct budget support, 230 million in humanitarian assistance, and maybe most importantly, the EU leaders agreed that within this year, 9 billion of macrofinancial assistance will be allocated or will be paid to Ukraine. This is mainly to help Ukraine to cover the current budget gap, which is indeed huge. And we are not letting Ukraine down in this respect either. There are by member states. There are individual contributions as well, as you are aware. But as the EU, 9 billion euro will come this year still, and these are all for the acute situation. And then the recovery. I know that the Ukrainian government is working very hard on the recovery plan with the National Recovery Council. The needs most probably will be in hundreds of billions of euro or dollars. And discussions at your international partners' side have only started. How to raise this money, how to manage it in cooperation with Ukraine, of course. There has to be a strong Ukrainian ownership. Nobody wants and nobody can decide better than you on to what exactly this money will be needed. And one know that the more technical or financial discussions are ongoing. One more political idea that is being warmly welcomed is President Zelensky's idea of sort of a twinning, that a government or a municipality or even a large company from the international partner side could pay in to a fund or to the fund for with specific purpose for reconstructing one particular municipality or city, and that would bring much more ownership and would help also the donor side to understand and feel this much more directly. Again, the modalities of this kind of twinning partnership need to be still worked out. But as an idea, it's a splendid one.
Your Excellency, you were one of the first ambassadors to return to Kyiv and to bring your team to work back to the Ukrainian capital. When someone in the future will ask you about the first month of the invasion, what are the moments you'll remember the most?
Waking up on 24th of February by explosions, or to the explosions. That's an experience that Europeans in my age do not have and thought we never had, and thought we never will. And then, of course, when Bucha was uncovered, that is something nobody with the knowledge of it will never ever forget.
His Excellency Matti MAASIKAS, the head of the delegation of the European Union to Ukraine. Thank you, Your Excellency, for this conversation. And to all our audience, please follow our further announcements. This completes our program for today. Stand with Ukraine.